You can start, Nana.
Okay. You're muting others?
I've not muted others. 1 minute. Yeah, you can unmute and speak now.
Om. 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 Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadrusham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. Yesterday was Gita Jayanti for all of you. Today is the Gita Jayanti for us now in Phoenix. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that you have completed the first cycle of Gita chanting. All of you, very good.
Yes.
And restarted on the second cycle.
We'll start today.
Gita chanting is never given up. Any good activity is only begun. It does not end. It continues. Okay? Any satkarma keeps on continuing. And you have quite a few of you decided to do this satkarma, and please continue doing that. It will be a tremendous blessing. Okay, now we are on to this page 378, no?
378, right. But
right.
there are some questions. Will you take the questions now or afterwards?
No.
Okay. I had a little query with regards to these two terms, Sarvatma and Sarvabhutastha.
What is that?
He says, he talks about Sarvabhutatma Bhutastha. Wait, I can't remember the
Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma.
No, he talks of 1 second. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam. Not this. He talks of Sarvatma and Sarvabhutastha. Why are those two important? Why is not just Sarvatma sufficient? I couldn't understand with clarity the reason why Sarvatma and Sarvabhutastha both are used.
Sarvatma is, Atma is everywhere. It is not limited to just you and I. Atma is Sarvagataha. Okay? Yaha Sarvagataha. And it is not time bound. Anything which is not time bound is not also place bound. Place will be you, me, and anybody else. Anything else, that is a place. Desha Kala Aparichinnaha. It is not limited by Desha, the place, or the time. Okay? It is not limited. So Sarvatma. Then Sarva Bhutatma, isn't it that you are asking?
No, Sarva Bhutasta.
Sarva Bhutasta. Sarva Bhutasta, that is, in respect of the sadhaka like you and I. Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam. That Sarva Bhutastam, it is available, Atma, in all the bhutas. Iti sadhaka manyeta. You will have to have that attitude. Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam. And it is everywhere in everybody. And what is that everywhere in everybody? It is indeed you. Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam. Atmanam is you. Atmanam is the self. The self is resident in everywhere, in every being, in every place, whether insentient or sentient. Stavaram Jangam api. Sarvabhutastam Atmanam. Atmanam is the self, one's own self, one's own being, one's own real nature, Swarupa. The Swarupa of yourself is Sarvabhutastam. It is everywhere. When such is the case, loving everybody is so very effectively easy, is it not? Loving everybody is so easy because you love everybody means what? You love yourself. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Because the love for yourself, everything else becomes as though lovable. And that sarvabhutastam atmanam, you are seeing yourself in every place, in everybody, in every being, in everything of creation. When such is the case, where is a question of any other diverse attitude at all except love? Sarvabhutastam Atmanam. Sarvabhutatma. Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma. Kitaya has used Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma. Having been the Sarva Ashraya, Sarva Deheshu Ashraya, Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. Bhutatma means having been. You having been that. Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. Bhuta means having become Atma, our own self. Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. Okay.
Okay.
Any other doubts? Good thing to have. Yeah, doubts will emerge as we go by. And this PDF text is ending soon enough. But after this, there is another which Shankaracharya has given, which is very extensive. That's what I was saying. At the end of the 66th verse, this is the PDF connected to the 66th verse. But before the 67th verse is taken up by Shankaracharya, he has summed up the entire Gita in a very extensive bhashya, which we will do. After this, we will do that. And that is available with you, Brahmara, in the form of PDF. The meaning of the Gita. Gita,
Okay.
Home Study, AVG, meaning. In that
Okay.
meaning, there are several other chapters. Chapter 1, 2, 3, introduction. Then after this 66th verse is over, this is kind of ending. But there is another which says
Shankara
what?
Bhashya, is it?
Shankar, that is,
I
when
will
you
check
open
the
that,
list.
you will know.
Yeah, I will check that list.
Summary till the end is some such thing.
Okay.
That is very, very revealing. Only thing is, it requires the undivided attention at the time of listening. Okay, single pointed attention. Not that it is difficult to understand. It is very easy to understand. But if you skip one sentence,
The train
be
of thought will
inattentive, then you will be back to square one.
Mm.
The sequence of reasoning, yukti, anubhava, etc., and the Shastra Vakyas explained, if one or two sentences are missed because of being inattentive, it will be a total loss. So my request is all of you, when we take that up, be attentive, just be yourself
Mm.
and just be open-minded. Don't have your other inhibitions, your other knowledges which you have acquired already. Keep them aside. Just listen to what is being read by Belaji or Brahmaraji or Sheilaji, anybody else. Yeah, continue.
There is one lady who wanted to know where she could find the Anugita you were talking about.
Anugita is in the Anushasanika Parva of Mahabharata.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay.
The Mahabharata, that PDF I have sent to you.
Yes.
Maybe
Is it there in that?
you can forward that to her.
Okay.
Okay? That
Fine.
PDF is in 4 parts. Because the entire Mahabharata is very massive.
Mm.
It is in 4 parts.
Okay.
You can either send the relevant part or you can send all the 4 parts, depending on the lady's interest.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay, Nana.
Hmm.
Yeah. Bella,
And
you're
that is
able to
all,
read?
that is all in English. What I sent you is all English.
Right.
Okay? Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hari Om Sarvebhya.
Hari Om.
Problems with other explanations of surrender. This is the meaning that Shankara gives here, and it is the only meaning that can be defended. With any other meaning, the giving up of all dharma will be a problem. Suppose one says that I should give up all dharma, all good and bad actions, and surrender to God. Then is the surrendering a good action or a bad one? If it is taken as good, how can I give up good and bad actions and surrender to God? Surrender is also good. It may be a new good action which is better than all the others, but it is still a good action, and therefore I cannot both surrender and also give up all good actions. It is impossible. Perhaps I can give up prohibited actions, nishiddha karma, and desire prompted action, kamya karma, but never all karmas by an act of surrender. Further, who is to surrender to whom? I have to surrender. All right, I will give up all my good and bad activities. I am neither going to do good to anybody nor do harm to anybody. I give up all the good and bad activities, yet I am left behind. Now, if I am asked to surrender my ego, how will I do that? Who will do it? The ego has to surrender the ego. How is that possible? If the object of surrender is the ego, there should be some other entity other than the ego that picks up the ego and places it at the feet of the Lord. But then this ego is not an object for me because the ego is myself. It is not an object that I can place at the feet of Bhagwan. And another thing, where are those feet? That is another problem. Where will I find Bhagwan's feet? It is all wishful thinking. That is why people do not accomplish much in this kind of thing. Even though it gives them a feeling, an attitude, bhavana of surrender, which is good, finally, speaking it does not solve the problem. Here at the end of the Gita, when Krishna is going to tell Arjuna the essence of the entire teaching, he cannot give him just a simple feeling. This is a moksha shastra. He has to talk about what will give moksha. Therefore, if you analyze the possible meanings of surrender to Bhagavan, you will find that no other meaning can be defended except the one that is given by Shankara here. Giving up all karmas and taking refuge only in Ishvara are almost one and the same thing. It is something like cutting a log and making it into two. They are not two separate things. Is cutting the log one action and making it into two another action? No, there is only one action. Cutting the log itself is dividing the log into two. When does making it into two pieces take place? When the action of cutting is when the action of cutting is completed. In fact, cutting is making it into two. Similarly, here, giving up of all karmas is recognizing Ishvara as the Atma and Atma as Ishvara. This is called Jnana Nishtha. Any other meaning will not work, nor will it give the promised result of freedom from all karmas. Sarva papebhyo moksha. What is release from all papas? It is very interesting that Krishna has said, I will release you from all papas. Does it mean that you should give up all dharma, surrender to Bhagavan, and he will release you from all the papas you have done? Does he mean to say, don't worry, keep killing, stealing, committing all sorts of atrocities upon the society, create as much havoc as you can and make people miserable, and then I will take care of all your papas? The only thing is you must surrender to me. It is exactly like a godfather talking, not God the Father. To make sure that this verse is not misunderstood in this way, Shankara explains what kind of you is released. This is a person who has a clear understanding, Nishchita Buddhi, that there is nothing other than Ishvara, the cause of everything. Other than that cause, there is no effect at all. When you recognize that Ishvara is Satyam, Gnanam, Anantam, Brahma, and you understand that Satyam, Gnanam, Anantam, Brahma, only as the Atma you will be released. There is no other source of consciousness, Gnana, apart from Atma, and therefore, in the definition of Brahman, Atma is defined. If Atma happens to be Brahman and Brahman happens to be Atma, the definition of either of them should be complete and reveal the identity between them. When you say Sat Chit Ananda Atma, it is nothing other than Satyam Gnanam Anantam Brahma. When you say Satyam Gnanam Anantam Brahma, it is Sat Chit Ananda Atma alone. One definition should be as good as the other because both are identical. Identical is not the word. Atma is Brahman. When Atma is predicated as Brahman, the definition of Brahman is the definition of Atma. If that is understood, naturally, there is nothing other than myself. Matta anyata kinchit nasti. The one who has no more vagueness or error about this is called Nishchita Buddhi. You, Twa, who has this kind of Buddhi, I will release Moksha Yisyami. From what? From all Papa, Sarva Papebhya. What are the Papas? Shankara says that Sarva Papa is that which is in the form of bondage and includes both dharma and adharma. Whether we consider it as an action that is in keeping with dharma or adharma, or as a result that manifests as punya or papa, it is all the same. From all karma, punya and papa, Lord Krishna says, I will release you. Aham tva mokshayisyami. If it is knowledge that releases, what is the place of Ishvara in this? A question can be raised here. If I give up all karmas by knowing that I am Ishvara, then who is Krishna as Ishvara to release me? It is something like the cattle saying, fill me with water, put me on the stove until the water is boiling, then put in some tea bags, hold me in your hand, and then pour my contents into the cup, and I will give you tea. What a great thing, what a great giving is that. One can say to Ishvara, once I know that I am Ishvara and you are myself, that I am not separate from you and you are not separate from me, who are you to release me? Release at this point is purely figurative. We only speak of release from the standpoint of the problem that existed due to lack of proper understanding. Release is not a new action that Ishvara is going to perform. Shankara takes care of this neatly by saying that the release is by means of revealing the nature of one's own self. Swatma bhava prakashikaranena. Swatma bhava prakashikaranena. Am I correct, Nanaji?
Very right.
It has to be shown that the self is Brahman because that fact is shrouded in ignorance. That ignorance is removed by revealing the nature of Atma, of oneself as Ishvara. By the knowledge that you are Ishvara, you are released. There is no action of releasing because you are already. There is no action of releasing because you are already, have always been and always will be liberated. Nitya Mukta. You come to understand and own that and thereby release yourself. Shankara reminds us that the same thing was said earlier by the Lord. Remaining as the essential nature, Swarupa of the self, I will destroy the darkness, tamas of ignorance by the light which is the lamp of knowledge. Nashyami Atma Bhavastha Gnana Deepena Bhasvata. Nashyami Atma
Not
Bhava.
nashyami. Nashayami.
Nashya.
Nashayami. Atma bhavastaha jnana deepena bhasvata. Nashayami. I will destroy. Nashayami. Atma bhavastaha jnana deepena bhasvata. You please make a note of this horizontal line above any character. When that horizontal line above the character is there is a dirgha that is indicated. Like here.
Okay.
Na. Here, N-A. On the A, the top horizontal. Na. Sha. That dot is sha. Okay? Nasha.
Okay.
Yami. Yami. Ah. Atma. Bha. Vastaha. Jnana. Jnana. Deepena. Bhasvata. Yeah.
Wow, that's
The term is there.
Dhanyavad Nanaji. I did not know that. Nashayami Atma Bhavastha Gnana Deepena Bhasvata. What is the knowledge? It is the cognition. vritti gnana, that Brahma aham asmi, I am Brahman. It is only that cognition which takes place in the mind, buddhi, that is opposed to ignorance. The gnana, that is consciousness, is not opposed to ignorance. If it were, there would be no ignorance at all, because consciousness is always present. This knowledge that is opposed to ignorance, the vritti gnana, and removes the ignorance of in the buddhi, does not take place without the operation of a means of knowledge, pramana. Thus the word lamp, deepa, is significant here. Light has to be brought in because there is darkness in the buddhi in the form of ignorance. To dispel the darkness, we require the light of the lamp of knowledge. That light is the cognition, vritti gnana. I am Brahman, remaining as the Atma in everybody's heart. Atma bhavastha. The Lord destroys ignorance through the light of knowledge, which dispels the darkness of ignorance and reveals the very nature of the Lord as the nature of the self. Therefore, you should not grieve. Ma shuchaha. This shloka can also indicate the pursuit. This can also be taken as a pursuit. Then it would mean give up all the punya papa karmas and then come to me as a sannyasi and seek me. I will give you the knowledge by revealing myself to you because you are seeking me. By gaining the vritti gnana, you will recognize me as yourself and thereby be totally free from punya and papa. Taken this way, it becomes a clear statement indicating sannyasa as a lifestyle. The previous verse is for karma yoga, but this is for sannyasa. It was made clear that karma itself does not give moksha. Now we understand neither does knowledge. You are already liberated, mukta. Knowledge will release you from ignorance, and once ignorance goes, bondage goes. Knowledge only removes the notion that you are bound. You are already free and therefore do not require karma or knowledge to be free. But if you do not recognize that you are free, you require gnana. What is the gnana? Here it is that which is capable of removing the ignorance, that is the cause of samsara. It is only that knowledge that you require, nothing else. This is going to be told in this verse, and Shankara is going to discuss how neither karma is necessary for moksha nor a synthesis of karma and gnana. Even gnana is not necessary for moksha because the self is already free. If you do not see that, we are constrained to say that you have ignorance and therefore require knowledge to remove that ignorance.
Here it is a little in contradiction, not seemingly contradiction to the fact that knowledge, jnana tevatu kaivalyam. Isn't now knowledge and jnana synonymous?
They are.
Then why is Swamiji talking, saying knowledge is also not required?
That is, in trying to explain away the fact that you are already liberated and you don't require any knowledge for you to know that you are liberated. You are already liberated, whether you know it or not. But for you to know, you require jnana. It's a kind of it's a synonym. Between jnana and knowledge, they're synonymous. But it is a matter of explaining that which becomes inexplicable. It is that. The burden is to tell you that you are already liberated. You are mukta purushaha, nitya muktaha, sada muktaha. When such is the case, where is anything required for you to know that? But you are swimming in ignorance. That is a cause for samsara. And if you want to get out of samsara, you require to know who indeed you are. That is where the jnana comes, which is indeed knowledge.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. Now, can you open that other one?
You want me to open? So this is the end of the chapter 18 thing, right? Okay. Just give me.
That is end of the relevant bhashya for the 66th verse as though.
Okay.
From now on, Shankaracharya is going to sum up the entire Gita before he enters this 67th verse.
Okay, just give me a few minutes. I have to go to my.
I don't know whether I can project. I have got that with me here. If I project that, I don't know whether people can see.
No, I should make you co-host and then you should share screen. Do you know how to do that?
Okay.
Is it in AVG then? Okay, let me see.
It is the meaning of the Gita in that document itself. There are several other documents.
There is one thing which says, okay, I will project this. You tell me which of this that is better. Let me just share screen. Okay, this is what I have.
Yeah.
This is AVG summary end. Is this the one?
Correct. Correct.
Is this the one?
That is the one.
Okay. Shastropasamhara Prakarana.
Correct.
Okay, great.
This is
this
the
is
one
like in the first.
I was telling you, which runs through some 180 pages, etc.
Okay.
If you okay, can you get back to the earlier PDF where all are given?
Okay.
What I was seeking is what you had shown me earlier.
Yeah. Okay, this is the one.
Yeah, this is the one. And in this, which is the one for the 18th chapter?
This one.
No. Yeah, that one. And how many kilobytes is that?
That is 23.8 megabytes.
20. No. Where is that? 23.8 megabytes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what you have picked, the summary end. This is how many megabytes?
13.2 megabytes.
So this is nearly half of the entire 18th chapter. The entire 18th chapter, if it has occupied some 23.8 megabyte, this is occupying 13 point so and so megabyte. It is almost half of the entire 18th chapter PDF. So massive is this.
Nana, this chapter 18 PDF, it ends with the 66 shloka. It doesn't go beyond that.
Correct. That is why this summary is required.
Okay.
You project this summary.
Okay.
Yeah. magnify this and center it appropriately. A little more magnification you can give to enable the reader nicely. Yeah, that's it. Good. Very good. Leave it.
Bella, you're able to continue. Let me know once.
Yeah, I would love to. If anyone else also wants to, because it is pleasure of mine to read. If anyone else wants to read, kindly just let me know. Okay, I would love to read. Huh? Should I continue or anyone
Yeah,
else?
please continue. I will take on after some time.
Okay, धन्यवाद धन्यवाद. Shastropassamhara Prakrana, summary of the entire Gita Shastra. With this, Shankara's Bhashya on the verse is over. Now he begins a summary of the entire Shastra, opening with a discussion of the appropriate means for moksha. Is it knowledge, karma, or a synthesis of the two? Three possible contentions are presented and discussed here. Shankara has done this before, and now at the end of Shastra, he summarizes the entire subject matter to make it all very clear. That footnote 1, should I read?
Not required. Unless people ask, you need not read the footnotes.
Okay.
The footnotes give the Bhashya as given by Shankaracharya in his Gita Bhashya. Mostly it is that.
Okay. The means for moksha. In this Gita Shastra, what is really determined as the means in this Gita Shastra, what is really determined as the means for moksha? This question arises because there are doubts about whether pure knowledge is the means for moksha or karma alone, such as Agnihotra, etc., and other duties enjoined in the Shastra, or both of them together. There are those.
Hari Om. Brahmara, you notice here whether pure knowledge is a means for moksha or karma alone, such as Agnihotra, or the combination of both, etc. Knowledge is used here in place of jnana.
Correct.
Okay? Yeah. Go ahead, madam.
Yes. There are those who contend that mere knowledge will not give you moksha, nor will mere karma, but together they will produce the desired result. A roadmap alone will not take you to your destination, and mere driving without the roadmap will not take you there either. Combining them, you can reach your destination. Similarly, for moksha, the pursuit of knowledge is necessary along with the pursuit of karma. Why is this so? Both knowledge and karma are enjoined in the Shastra. Because daily rituals like Agnihotra and daily prayers, etc., are enjoined, they have to be done. They have to be done obligatorily along with the pursuit of knowledge. Or knowledge is necessary secondarily, but karma is what produces moksha. Or knowledge alone produces moksha. Shall I read it again? This is little confused. Because daily rituals like Agnihotra and daily prayers, etc., are enjoined, they have to be done obligatorily along with the pursuit of knowledge. Or knowledge is necessary secondarily, but karma is what produces moksha. Or knowledge alone produces moksha.
These are not the words of Hari Om. These are not
the words of Shankara.
Words of Shankaracharya.
Yeah,
These are words of some people who think like this.
right.
That is what is presented.
Mm,
That is
Okay.
why I said we must have total attention.
mm,
Because who said what is to be understood cleanly. Otherwise, you will think Shankaracharya is saying this. No, he is only presenting a particular viewpoint in order to refute that later. Yeah, go forward.
The basis for doubt. What is the basis for all these doubts? In the 13th chapter, it was said, I will tell you that which is to be known, knowing which one gains immortality. Gneyam yat pravakshyam. Gneyam yat tat pravakshyami yad gnatva amritam asnute. And in this chapter, we have seen thus knowing me in reality. After that, he enters into me. Tato mam tatvato gnatva visate
Vishate tadanantaram.
vishate tadanantaram. Tato mam tatvato gnatva vishate tadanantaram. There are a number of vakyas like this in the Gita, not just one or two. Every chapter has a sentence one can quote to prove that the gain of moksha is purely by knowledge, without any karma. This is one set of vakyas. Then we have another set like your choice is only in karma. Karmani eva adhikara te. And do karma alone. Kuru karmaiva. Then again, the one who does actions, resolving them in Brahman and giving up all attachment is not touched by papa like a lotus leaf in water. Brahmani adya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yah lipyate na sa papena padmapatram ivam bhasa.
Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate nasa papena padmapatram ivam bhasa.
Brahmani adya karmani.
Adhaya.
Read English. This is done. Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate nasa papena padmapatram ivam bhasa. Continue from here, elsewhere onwards.
Yeah. Elsewhere it is said that even maintenance of the body, sharira yatrapi, is not possible without karma, and that no one remains even for a moment without performing action. Nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tisthati akarmakarta. Further, a person gains moksha or siddhi by doing his own karma and offering it to the Lord. Swakarmana, offering it to the Lord. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manava. Thus, there are other sentences in the Gita which show that karma definitely has the status of something to be done. What do we have now? Karma is to be done for moksha. Knowledge itself will give you moksha. Once we have two different types of statements like this, naturally there will be a doubt. Which will give me moksha? Because both karma and knowledge are taught by the same Shastra. Is a combination of both required for moksha? How is this to be construed? Perhaps neither mere knowledge nor mere karma is enough for moksha. But when they are synthesized, they have the status of being the means for moksha. When we have these two types of sentences, a doubt like this is definitely possible. The purpose of analysis. All right, let there be a doubt. Perhaps any one of these three possibilities can give moksha. Why should we bother about it? No, the one who wants moksha cannot leave such a doubt unresolved. When there is a doubt about a sentence in the Shastra, we have to analyze it and ascertain its meaning. Why? What is the result of this analysis? Shankara raises the question and says that it is the determination of which among them is the best means for moksha. Best is not really the word here. Among the three options presented, only one is the means for moksha. Is it knowledge, karma, or a combination of the two? What do we get by knowing that? Only then can we get moksha. Otherwise, we will be worried and confused about how we should proceed with our pursuit. Our question would be, should I do a little bit of this and a little of that? Some gnana in the morning and some karma in the evening, or on some days karma and on other days gnana? Before we embark upon the whole thing, we must know which can serve as the means for moksha. Otherwise, we will be wasting our time. It is not that we have not discussed this before. We have analyzed karma, its limitations, etc. over and over. But now, while summing up, we have to ascertain the meaning of Gita Shastra. Gita is not a pep talk, but a moksha shastra. Some people say it is nothing more than a pep talk to motivate Arjuna to get up and fight the battle. In fact, it is a pep talk in the beginning when Krishna says, in such crisis, from where has this despair come unto you? O Arjuna, it is not at all becoming of an upright man. It does not add to your good name, nor is it which leads one to heaven. Kutastva kasmalam idam visame sampusthitam.
Hari Om.
Kutastva
Kutastva kashmalam vishame samupastitam. This is in the beginning of the second chapter.
And says further, O Partha, the vanquisher of enemies, do not yield to unmanliness. This does not befit you. Give up this lowly weakness of the heart and get up. Klaibyam ma sma gamah Partha. It is nothing more than a pep talk. I myself told you it is a pep talk. But Arjuna was not pepped up. That is the problem. Arjuna says to Krishna, please teach me. I am your disciple. I do not think that the shoka, sorrow I have will go away. It is the silence.
No, it is the same old sorrow.
It is the same old sorrow invoked in this situation by having to slay Drona and Bhishma. The weeping of the soul, which now is invoked by this situation, I would like to completely silence. For that, I know that I should be a disciple and must get Shreyas Moksha. Therefore, please teach me. Until this point, the teaching had not begun. It was only a pep talk. Previously, Krishna answered Arjuna by trying to shame him into acting. Now, Krishna says, you are grieving for that which does not deserve grief, even though you speak words of wisdom. The wise men do not grieve for those who have gone or for those who have not yet gone. The non-existent has no existence, and the existent has no non-existence. The seers of truth, however, see the truth of both of these. Wow. If you can understand this, there is nothing more to know even in the Upanishads. Those who know both Sat and Asat are those who see the truth, Tattvadarshis. Those whose mind is committed to that and whose impurities are burnt away by knowledge do not have further birth. Tat buddhya, tad atmana, tanishtata.
Tadbuddhayaha, tadatmanaha, tannishtaha, tatparayanaha,
Tatparayanaha.
gachanti apunaravrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
How many statements, vakyas are there like this? For example, consider the statement, know me to be the knower of the beings in all the beings. Kshetragnam chapi mam viddhi sarva kshetresu bharata. That is not pep talk. Why should Krishna talk about kshetra and kshetragna if he wants to give a pep talk? Or consider the statement, free from egoism and delusion. Those who have mastered the fault of attachment, those who are always centered on the self, those whose desire is completely gone away are free from the pairs of opposites such as pleasure and suffering, and being not deluded, go to the imperishable abode.
Nirmana moha jita sanga doshaha. Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha sanyaihi gachanti amudaha padam avyayam.
This is not a pep talk. This is not a pep talk. A pep talk is get up and fight. Come on, fight. You will get this. You will get that. Do not mop like this. This is not the attitude. Think of your people, think of your name and fame. If you keep on repeating things like this, then it is a pep talk, pepping up his drooped morale. That is different. But here, it is all teaching, all thinking. Where is the pep talk? The issue is whether the Gita Shastra is saying that knowledge, karma, or a combination of the two is the means for moksha, because Gita is a moksha shastra. Arjuna asked for Shreyas, which is moksha, and Bhagavan gave it to him. Arjuna himself had this doubt about the means for moksha. Throughout the Gita, he keeps asking in different ways, which is better, knowledge or karma? He asked this question in the 3rd chapter, Jnayasi
Jayasi chet karmanaste.
Manaste. And again he asked this question in the 5th chapter, Sannyasa.
Sannyasam karmanam Krishna.
Arjuna still has this doubt, even at the 18th chapter. Again, he wants to know what is the difference between Tyaga and Sannyasa. Shankara thought that since this doubt keeps recurring, it has to be analyzed and clearly resolved here at the end of the Gita. One of these three, karma, knowledge, or a combination of the two should be the means for moksha? Or is it a little of this and a little of that, like our common approach to things in life? This tendency for synthesis is always there. Doing a little bit of everything, integrating it all together is the usual approach. Shankara does not seem to think like that. He is a serious person. He wants to know which of these three means is going to work, and he is going to determine it now so that the matter is settled once and for all. It is of the utmost importance for one to ascertain this thoroughly so that there is no doubt about whether karma or gnana or both will give moksha. This subject matter has to be analyzed.
Hari Om. Bella, shall I take over from here?
Yeah, please.
You can take a break. Yeah. Knowledge of the self alone is the means for moksha. Having said this, Shankara now begins the analysis. His opening statement is his vision of the truth about this. However, knowledge of the self is the only means for moksha. This too, however, indicates that the opposing views of karma and the combination of karma and knowledge are negated as means for moksha. He will discuss this use of two later in his commentary. Now at the outset, he states unequivocally that knowledge of Atma alone is the cause for moksha. In fact, knowledge is moksha. Without knowledge, there is no moksha, and therefore knowledge is considered the means. But it is also the end, because after knowledge takes place, nothing further is required for moksha. If knowledge itself is moksha, why do we need to use the word moksha, freedom at all? It is because this alone expresses what I am seeking, purushartha. Moksha is the purushartha, not knowledge. I want to be free from sorrow, dukkha. That is my value. The primary value is not for knowledge, but for freedom. Since the means for that is knowledge, I pursue knowledge. The result, which is non-duality, kaivalya, alone is the ultimate end for this knowledge of Atma. How long will the pursuit of this knowledge continue? Until I gain the vision of non-duality, which is moksha. Therefore, the knowledge of Atma culminates. That very knowledge happens to be moksha because without knowledge, there is no moksha, and when knowledge is there, moksha is gained. Thus, the knowledge of Atma is the means for moksha because it culminates in non-duality, which is moksha. So, if we understand it right, the value, the purushartha is to get out of, is moksha, which is you want to be free from sorrow. Freedom from dukkha is the value, is the purushartha, and therefore moksha is the purushartha, and knowledge is the means. Knowledge is moksha. Because the moment you gain knowledge, you gain moksha. It is like cutting the log of wood into two pieces. So the act of cutting and the log becoming two pieces are instantaneous. They're not two different things.
Very right.
Correct?
Yeah.
How does knowledge lead to moksha?
If you recollect, in the Atmabodha, there is a verse. Krutva jnanam swayam nashyet ajnana kalusham jivam jnanabhyasat vinirmalam. Krutva jnanam swayam nashyet. It has no further any purpose. When it has revealed you what you indeed are, it simply takes leave of you. That's all.
Yeah.
That is the purpose of knowledge.
It is like using soap to clean yourself, soap and water. Once you wash it out, there is no need. You are clean already.
Yes. Very right.
How does knowledge lead to moksha? How is this so? How does the knowledge of Atma have its culmination in moksha? Shankara says that it is by being the remover of all notions of duality. We have to understand this well. Self-knowledge has the capacity to negate all notions of duality. Why? Because the self is non-dual. That is, because the self is Brahman. That Brahman is Satya. It is Jnana and it is Ananta, because nothing is standing separate from it. All that is here is one Brahman, and that is Atma. There is nothing else. Therefore, once one knows the self, there is no notion of difference. Why does Shankara say this? The negation of all notions of duality is moksha, the state of being non-dual. If that is moksha, as long as there is a notion of difference, there is no moksha. Suppose this notion of difference is negated. Suppose this notion of difference is negated. What will be the situation with reference to action? We have seen this in the verse, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva tena gantavyam Brahma karma samadhina. Here, the one who does the action is Brahman, the object of the action is Brahman, the instrument of action is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. What does it mean? Doing takes place, but it is negated. Such action is like a roasted seed, good for enjoying, but not for germination. Bhogaya natu prasavaya. Similarly, if you are looking at the whole thing as Brahman, the agent karta is mithya, the object karma is mithya, the action kriya is mithya. They all become mithya. Only when we know the satya, which is akarta, that is not an agent, and in which everything takes place. Knowing that I am that Satyam Brahma makes everything else negated, badita. Then whatever happens is all entertainment. Isn't this much like the dream we have, where the agent, the whole thing is Brahman,
Yes.
the agent, object, karma, everything is mithya. It's like in the dream world, you have created the dream.
Very right.
Whereas the Satya, the Asami who is dreaming is actually the truth. If you liken the person who's awake, the waker is Satya.
True.
Hari Om Nanaji, Kshamyatam. Here, the example of a roasted seed, it's beautifully given, but how do we relate it to? Is it like all Maya, the material world is very tasty, but it becomes no good for self-knowledge? Is it like that?
You think of your dream state. From the dream state, you can decipher the answer to your question. When you are dreaming, supposing in your dream, you have become indebted immensely to somebody, and that somebody is troubling you. Why don't you pay me back and things like that? You have no means of paying back. And that fellow says he will take you to the court and things like that. You are really frightened. And in that frightening situation, you got up. After you have got up, where is your debt? Where is your tormentor? Is it real or mithya?
Mithya, yeah, okay.
Your tormentor is gone. That is your creation. It is your own mind's projection, which is mithya. Same thing with the Jagat. That is why when in doubt, we must think of our dream state. That will answer quite a few doubts of ours. Okay?
Can
Yes,
the
Nana.
roasted seed analogy also mean that it will not lead to punya papa, or that is not the context here?
Punya Papa is not a context because
Not the context here.
see,
Yeah.
the Jagat is Mithya. Punya Papa pertains to what?
To
The,
Jagat.
the Jagat. When that itself is knocked off, where is Punya Papa?
Correct. That is not the context here.
Exactly.
So knowing that I am that Satyam Brahma makes everything else negated, Badita. Then whatever happens is all entertainment. The whole time that you cry in the theater, you know it is a movie or a play. You may identify with the hero or heroine, and even though you know they are only actors standing on the stage or projected on the screen, and you know it is all a drama, still, because of the identification, you cry. In this country, there is an entertainment tax. If you laugh, you pay tax. If you shed tears, you pay tax. Why should you pay to shed tears? Because it is entertainment. In drama, this sentiment is called a rasa, and it is a rasa only when you know the situation is false. If someone is crying because a loved one has passed away, it is not a rasa. There is no aesthetic value if somebody is really in sorrow. In real life, we get horrified when somebody is shot. But if we see it in a movie, especially if this hero slays the villain, we consider it entertaining. It is the same here. Once you know that all this is false, mithya, it will still evoke emotions in you, but it will not touch you at all. That is the badita anuvritti. That recognition that everything is Brahman is present. That is, there is this Brahma Buddhi with reference to everything. The means of doing the action is Brahman. What is done is Brahman. The one who does it is Brahman. That is called Badita Anuvritti. When we say that everything is Bhagavan, it is because everything is false, Badita. Only then can everything be Bhagavan. Otherwise, everything is what it is. A tree is a tree, a horse is a horse, and a cow is a cow. You cannot say that all these are one unless they are looked upon as mithya and something else is one. It is like saying that a pitcher, a pot, a lid, a cup, and a saucer are all clay. That is Bhadita Anuvritti. All of them are clay, even though you will use a cup for serving coffee, not a lid. You know what to use for what. There is purpose, usefulness, even though your vision of all of them is one of clay, is of one clay. That is called Badita. Therefore, if all the karmas and the agent, the instrument, etc. are Badita, there is non-duality. What a beautiful example he has given, this pitcher, pot, and the lid. And they're all clay.
Yeah, very right.
What kind of karma is necessary then for moksha? Self-knowledge first negates the agent karta and all the other karakas associated with action. The agent is Satchid Ananda Atma. The body is not separate from Satchid Ananda Atma, nor is the result of the action separate. All that existed before, including the mains, Pitrus, are not separate from Satchidananda Atma, and neither are those who will be born later. The individuals, jivas, who are unmanifest, are now Satchidananda Atma, and so are those who are in the process of being born somewhere. All of them, their karmas and their results, phalas, are not separate from Satchidananda Atma. Now, where is karma in this? The knowledge of the self, Atma Jnana, just removes the doer, result, action division. Kartra Karma Kriya Veda. When this is gone, Where is the question of a synthesis of knowledge and action? Jnana karma samuchaya. The notions of duality which are necessary for performing karma are negated.
Hari
You
Om.
may-
That is to be read as Jnana Karma Samuchaya.
Samuchaya. Okay, sorry.
It is a synthesis of Jnana and Karma, Samuchaya. Okay.
The notions of duality which are necessary for performing karma are negated. You may still do karma, but the notion of division, Bheda Pratyaya, is negated. What is Bheda Pratyaya? Shankara enumerates the possible divisions that may be involved in an action. In any action, there is the action itself, Kriya, the things connected to the action, Karaka, and the result of the action, Phala. The action is the basis for all the Karakas. If you ask who does the action, that gives the first Karaka, the agent. What does he do? That tells us the second Karaka. And if we ask how he does it, that gives us the third. For what purpose he does it gives us another, the fourth. And from where he does the action gives us the fifth. Finally, where the action was done gives us the seventh. The sixth relationship is not a Karaka because it is not involved in the action itself. It is a nominal connection and therefore Shankara mentions it separately as the result Phala. When all these are seen as separate, it is called Bheda Buddhi. The one who does the action must be separate from what he does and how he does it, when and where he does it. The result also is separate. Let us look at this in terms of one ritual, the Jyotishtoma. By whom is it performed? The one who is desirous of heaven. Swarga Kamena. 1 minute, I'm just going to mute this. Someone who's unmuted. The one who does the action must be separate from what he does. Why and how he does it, when and where he does it. The result also is separate. Let us look at this in terms of one ritual, the Jyotishtoma. By whom is it performed? The one who is desirous of heaven, Swarga Kamena. Not as in the mantra we saw by Brahman, Brahmana. It is done by the one who thinks, I am an agent, Karta, and wants to achieve the result. Karma Phala, which is heaven, Swarga. This is called Veda Buddhi. If you know that you are Brahman doing this action, there is no problem. You enjoy doing it. Here, however, it is done by the one who has the notion that Atma is the doer. Then, what is offered? The offering in this ritual is ghee, samit, etc. Ghee is not Brahman there, but something separate from the one who offers. Where does he offer the ghee? Into the fire, Agnau. But Agni is not Brahman for him. It is other than himself. What is offered, Huta, the ghee, is different. The ladle, Arpana, by which it is offered is different. And those for whom it is offered, Agni, Surya and Prajapati, are all different entities. None of these is looked upon as Brahman. That is called Bheda Buddhi. Ignorance is the cause of this Bheda Buddhi. What is the reason for this Bheda Buddhi? It is only due to ignorance. If all of them are one thing alone, Brahman, then ignorance of that Brahman creates all the duality. Due to this ignorance, the self, Atma, is taken as the agent, Karta, and everything else becomes different. This is my action. I am the agent. I will do this action for that result. Even if you disown the karma, the law will see that you get the result. It is all due to ignorance and ignorance-born notions, which are also called ignorance. Avidya. Shankara uses avidya in both senses. When did this ignorance of Brahman start? It has no beginning. It is anadi kala pravritta. However, it does have an end. What brings this ignorance to an end? What brings this ignorance of Brahman to an end? The knowledge of the self, Atma Jnana. Why? Because it removes the notion of difference, the Bheda Buddhi, which is nothing but ignorance of non-duality. Knowledge of the self is capable of destroying the idea that I am the doer. This is my karma. This is the purpose for which I am performing this action, etc. In all these notions, the result is different from the agent and the action. The agent is different from the action, and so on. This notion of difference, Bheda Buddhi, which is called ignorance, avidya, is removed by the knowledge of Atma. What is that knowledge, jnana? It is the firm knowledge that I am this pure non-dual consciousness alone. I am not an agent. I am free from any action, and one for whom there is no result of any action. When I do not enjoy the result, where is the question of my doing anything? I am not the enjoyer, nor do I perform action at any time. And again, there is nothing whatsoever that is separate from me. When there is no one else except me, for whose sake or for what sake will I do anything? Which heaven will I go to when that heaven is myself? How will I make offerings to Agni and Indra when Indra is myself and Agni is also myself? Other than myself, there is nobody. As this kind of knowledge for which the object is Atma is born, ignorance, which is in the form of a notion of difference, is destroyed. It is this notion of duality that is the cause for the pursuit of karma. From this, it is clear that karma cannot be the cause for moksha. Removal of the notion of difference, Bheda Buddhi, is moksha, and that Bheda Buddhi will not go unless I remove avidya. Once the Bheda Buddhi goes, action, etc. is not possible. That means that if I do an action, I have this notion of difference, Bheda Buddhi, and as long as this notion exists, ignorance, avidya is there. As long as avidya exists, moksha cannot be there, and I will continue to be a doer, karta, different from everybody else, and thus an individual jiva. Therefore, where is the role of action here? If we are talking of moksha, karma does not have any place at all. In the wake of knowledge, the cause of karma, which is the Bheda Buddhi, that is born of avidya, goes away. When that goes away, action is not there. So this is the sarva jnanena sarva karma sannyasa, isn't it?
Very right. Very right. That was pointed out in the 4th chapter, and that is reinstated in this 18th chapter and elsewhere also.
In spite of this, another question is raised. Suppose I perform an action, can it remove my notion of difference, Bheda Buddhi? No. Action is the product of Bheda Buddhi, and the product cannot remove the cause because it is not opposed to it. Virodhi. Karma, therefore, is not opposed to avidya because
You remember that Atmabodha?
yeah.
Avirodhitaya karma na avidyam vinivartayet vidya avidyam nihanti eva tejaha timira sanghavat.
Yeah.
Okay, go forward.
Therefore, karma, therefore, is not opposed to avidya because it is its product. As a clay pot is not inimical to the clay because it is a product of the clay. If the pot is inimical, inimical is opposed to, right?
Very right.
If the pot is inimical to clay, when the pot appears, the clay will disappear. Any product being dependent upon its cause is mithya. and is not inimical to that cause. So too, karma cannot be opposed to avidya because avidya is the cause for the very karma. The karma that we do, like Agnihotra, etc., is not opposed to avidya, being a product of avidya, which is the notion of difference, Bheda Buddhi. What removes the Bheda Buddhi? Knowledge of the self, Atma Jnana. It is enough for moksha. We do not require anything else. Karma is not a means, sadhana, for moksha. Karma yoga, however, is an entirely different thing. It is the means which produces the mind necessary for knowledge. But karma as such does not produce knowledge. So no amount of karma will get you knowledge. The meaning of the word tu. In his opening statement in this part of the Bhashya, Shankara says, however, self-knowledge alone has the status of being the cause of moksha. Now he is going to comment on his use of the word tu, however, here. This word is meant to exclude the two other views. Initially, Shankara had presented three possibilities as the means for moksha: knowledge alone, karma alone, and the combination of knowledge and karma, jnana karma samuchaya. By using the word tu in his statement that knowledge alone is the means for moksha, he now excludes the other two possibilities. Neither the combination of knowledge and karma nor pure karma will produce moksha. On the other hand, tu, pure knowledge, is the means for and is in fact moksha. Among the three, one alone is the means for moksha. That the other two are not is indicated by tu. How they are not, he goes on to explain. Moksha being nitya is not produced. Moksha is not something that is produced. It is akarya. That being so, it is not tenable to say that karma is the means for moksha. Why? Something that is outside the scope of time or eternal, nitya, cannot be produced either by karma or by knowledge. And moksha must necessarily be eternal, nitya. If it is not what we are defining as moksha. For whom is this moksha that we're talking about? It is for the Atma, the individual. Only if that Atma is nitya can there be moksha. And in that case, knowledge of the nitya Atma alone is moksha. That is why nitya moksha is identical with the Atma. Being nitya, it is not created by karma or anything else because it is already existent. What is eternal nitya is not created. Moksha is uncaused. If moksha is uncaused, then knowledge is also useless. This is an objection. Now it has just been said that this uncreated moksha cannot be produced either by karma or by knowledge. Based on that, a question is raised. If moksha cannot be produced by knowledge, how is knowledge a means for moksha? Is it not also useless? If knowledge is the means for moksha, moksha is created by knowledge. But if moksha is not created, neither knowledge nor anything else can be the means for it. All these arguments are very close arguments, so please follow them carefully. Since moksha is nitya, it is not created either by karma or by knowledge. Once karma is dismissed on the basis that moksha is not created, knowledge also has to be dismissed in the same fashion. Then, knowledge is a means for moksha is useless, and the statement that knowledge is the only means for moksha has no validity. Knowledge removes, so this is the objection. Knowledge removes ignorance and leads to moksha. Shankara responds, no, we do not say that moksha is produced by knowledge. It only removes the cause for bondage, ignorance. When ignorance is removed, the visible result is moksha, and in this way, knowledge seemingly produces moksha. Knowledge has the status of removing the ignorance and also has its end in the immediate result of moksha. It is not a result that is not immediately seen, adrishta phala, like heaven. Once ignorance is removed by knowledge, there is moksha. In fact, moksha is in the form of this knowledge. Thus, removal of ignorance alone is called moksha. This can be understood with an illustration. The sun is always in the form of light, but now, though seen, it is not properly seen by you because of the clouds. The clouds themselves are illumined by the sun alone, but now you see only the clouds and not the sun. That is, its bright nature is not appreciated. Then a breeze blows and drives away the clouds, and now the sun shines bright. What has the breeze to do with the sun getting back its brightness? Its brightness is not because of the breeze. You cannot say that the breeze gave the sun its brightness. At the same time, the breeze does a job of removing the clouds covering the brightness of the sun and enables you to appreciate it. So too, knowledge also does not produce moksha. It only removes the ignorance that is the cause for bondage.
Megha paye amshumani va.
Yeah. But somewhere Swamiji says and Shankara says, knowledge is moksha. But here it seems as if knowledge is the means, but it's also the end.
Knowledge is the means because there's no other way to get rid of ignorance. Ignorance be gotten rid of by an opponent of ignorance, which is knowledge.
Tejas timira sanghavat. So only Teja can remove the timira.
Yeah.
Freedom is always from bondage, and here it is the bondage created by ignorance, avidya. Once knowledge removes the avidya, it goes away, and what remains is the immediate result of moksha. The real nature of the self is known right away, not later. Previously, there was unknowingness, that is, the status of being ignorant, for whom it is the Atma that is viewed from the standpoint of being ignorant. Ignorance is not the property of Atma, but for the time being, as long as one is ignorant, ignorance is covered, is conceived of, kalpita, for Atma. This ignorance is also opposed, virodhi, to knowledge. And knowledge, vritti jnana, is opposed to ignorance. Once a person has knowledge, that knowledge producing vritti, having removed the ignorance, goes away. And there is no longer any possibility of ignorance about the Atma. Atma is already eternally free, nitya mukta. Knowledge does not produce moksha. It merely removes the cause for bondage. If this is properly understood, we can say that knowledge becomes the means for moksha. It does not produce moksha because moksha is always an existent fact, nitya, being the essential nature of Atma. But we have to pursue knowledge because that alone removes the avidya. That is why we say that moksha is by knowledge alone. Jnanena eva moksha.
Hari Om. Do we stop here?
We can continue for another half hour. Doesn't matter.
No. What I would suggest, you keep on doing manana for whatever you have done in yesterday and what you have started doing today, etc. That is beneficial. Don't stop that. That manana session, don't totally remove. Okay. And today I see the number of participants is rather low.
Today is Sunday, Nana. So most people in India have other activities, engagements, like the yoga and kriya follow-ups and all that is there. So that is one reason why there are not many. I think Sunday is generally the the attendance is a little on the
Okay.
lower side. Yeah.
So those preferences have manifested today. Right.
But they will
Gurudev,
happen with the recording.
Okay. So you note down the page number.
Yeah, why
If
not? By
you can reduce the magnification, you will get the page number maybe.
392.
193.
392.
192. 392, sorry. Yeah,
392.
392. Why not karma? That is where we will start tomorrow. Okay? Good. Very good. Both of you read nicely, very nicely. I suppose this is interesting and not very tiring for you to listen and digest the information.
Mm.
As long as you are attentive, it is very easy to understand. Because the Shankara Bhashya and Swamiji's English, both are very easy flowing.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Jagatin Nanaji, sorry.
Nana, one of
Uh-huh.
them has something to say. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, Nanaji.
Amazing, Nana. Thank you, Guptaji, Renuji.
Nana, 1 minute. Rinal has something to say, I think. 1 second.
Uh-huh.
Maybe tomorrow, Nanaji, since we are saying prayer.
No, I missed out what you said, Mrinalji.
Okay. Nanaji, pursuing knowledge, is it not a karma? Action?
Not really. See,
Because now this
if you
this
say
class,
some-
are we not doing some action of reading and to
no,
to
if
gain
you
the
say
knowledge?
no, listen. If you say it is a manasika karma, that cannot be negated. But it is operating your vritti jnana. And that is a different kind of karma. It is not a vachika karma. It is a manasika karma. And the manasika karma is required to gain knowledge. I'm not saying it is not a karma. It is a karma. But that manasika karma, and to make the manasika karma efficacious, only the karma yoga is a desirable activity. Because that manasika karma, the manaha must be pure enough to make the mana pravritti in the form of a vritti for knowledge very fruitful. That is why that karma yoga. Indeed, what you say is true. It is an activity. It is a karma, but not karma in the real sense of the word. Any karma you undertake is for a result. This karma you undertake is for getting rid of ignorance, with a need to know who indeed you are. The only phala that you desire is
Moksha.
Ishvara. You want to know who that Ishvara is. And Vedanta Vakya you want to live, that Tattvamasi. That is the only end result with which you have undertaken this so-called karma. What you said is right. It is a manasika karma.
So, in a way, karma, we do this kind of karma to gain the knowledge and ultimately the moksha. So,
No,
how can we say the karma
no,
is
you
not
are
needed?
oversimplifying. No. If you are saying karma is required to gain knowledge, to obtain moksha, you are oversimplifying. That karma, what is generally understood is Shastra Vihita karma. What is ordained by the Shastra for you to do. This Shastra Vihita karma has not ordained anything regarding your vritti jnana samupadhyana. Is it not?
Yeah.
Only the Upanishad Vakyas have said that. You have to know only that. Knowing that only Amritatam Anashuhu. You will attain to immortality only by knowing that. Those are the Upanishad Vakyas. But the Karma Kanda portion of the Veda, which ordains the karma, so-called karma, all the karmas, dharma Sahita karma or adharma karma, all those things, the nishidha karma, all these are ordained in the karma kanda. Whenever we say karma, it is that shastra vihita karma.
Okay.
It is not the vritti jnana karma, which in a proper sense, it is also a karma, but it's a manasika karma.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Nanaji.
Thank you. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Hari Om, everybody.
Hari Om.
Hari Om,
Nana.
Dhanyavad Nanaji.
Yeah, my request is please
Hari Om.
continue chanting the Gita. Your second cycle has started today, I think.
Yes.
Please continue. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Hari Om.
Yes, Nanaji.
Bye.